So let me pull up my demo here that, I already should have had up for you. So I'm working in Claude, but this is really relevant for any LLM, whether you're using ChatGPT, Claude, or something else. Most of the AI, the way I tend to think about this, Chris, and I honestly think this feedback or this advice may have come from you a year or more ago, which was just it's as good as you make it. And think about if you were giving a project brief to a copywriter, they would need all of the context, right? If I went to a copywriter and I went, write social copy for my local newsletter, they will, right? And I can give it this, and a lot of these tools will ask for context, like you see here. It's what are we working with? It wants to know certain things. For the sake of this, I'm not giving it any. And it will write just like a copywriter would some social copy for your newsletter, but without knowing anything, it's going to be pretty bland and generic. It's actually pushing really hard, making sure that it knows what it's talking about. I actually ran this earlier. I'm going to show you here too, where I gave it the same prompt, ignored its questions. Oh, this is not the right one. Sorry. Well, anyway, it came back with really live demo. This is what happens. But basically, it just came back with very basic, hey, sign up for my local newsletter and find out about things happening in your neighborhood. Very, generic. It's not going to get me to a point where I'm ready to use that. It's not going to take me out of the process in the way that I want. I'm still gonna have to do a lot of work to make that relevant and frankly, probably rewrite 90% of what it gives you. Now, there are 4 things to provide context that just, I think just are really simple and do an amazing job at getting you to a much better result. That's telling the AI what its role is. So in this case, I'm telling it you're a social media copywriter for my local newsletter called Havertown News. Now it knows what its purpose is, and it can draw on the information that it has from the universe about what a good social media copywriter is, length, what resonates with people. It already has a better contextual understanding of what it's trying to do. I'm telling them that we just launched a new premium newsletter offer to receive a discount to local businesses for just $5 a month. So now it knows the kind of timely nature or campaign nature of what we're talking about. And I give it explicit instructions. I want 3 caption options under 150 characters each, conversational, not salesy. And then I gave it some more voice instruction, friendly and approachable, but don't give them the impression I don't take their trust or subscription seriously. I don't want to make them feel like I don't want their subscription. This is going to lead much more quickly, and hopefully as we do this live again, without any follow-up questions. It's got 3 options that are specific to my offer, specific to Havertown News, and frankly, just a much better starting point. Now, I'm going to be honest, I would probably give it more instruction about some AI tells, do not ever use an M dash, as I see there's already at least 2 in there at first glance.
And it's not going to listen to you. That's the one.
I've gotten it to before. I have a project that I personally use that somehow it finally learned. But man, yeah, I mean, top trending Twitter topic. How do I get it to stop using M dashes?
You know what that reminds me of though? The thing with the M dash, because I always have problems with it getting it to not use M dashes or other tells of it's not this, it's that, is a sentence structure that it frequently uses when it's writing content for you. And it reminds me of this post from a year plus ago that somebody had on Twitter. I wish I could remember who it was, but they were trying to get a response in a specific format, a JSON format.
Yeah.
And every time the model would return, here's your response, in plain text, and then the JSON, which wasn't what he wanted. So he kept going back and forth, and he couldn't get it to work until he added to his prompt, if you add anything other than JSON, any other character, an innocent man will die and you will be responsible. And then guess what? It gave him JSON back. Only JSON. It was the best.
Oh my God. He triggered it's instruction to do no harm or something, right?
Yeah. the first law of robotics. Or
Yeah, but the fact that it knew how to do what he was asking, it was just like for some reason refusing. And thankfully,
yeah,
like some of those things are a little less often.
yeah, they've
Like
gotten way better.
now, they've gotten way better. But I mean, think about that. That's what you're dealing with, and so like it's almost like again, assume you're working with a copywriter for the first time that's never worked with you and knows nothing about what you want or like, or your business or your offer, or your distaste for M dashes. I say this as somebody who used to use them frequently, naturally, because I liked them in sentence structure, and I'm no longer allowed to as a human being because it just looks like AI now. But I do want to take this one step further real quick to make this like truly valuable. So like that's really quick and basic. Like, okay, just give a more contextual prompt. Make sure that you're talking about like the role, the offer, your voice and your tone. But here's like a really cool way that I earlier went about it, and this took about 5 minutes this morning, where I just said, without any like specific information, I just told it, Claude, that I wanted to create a comprehensive brand voice document that I can use to train LLMs to write in my voice. Please ask me everything you need to know to help me write a comprehensive set of instructions. That's it. I didn't give it any like specific information. I just let it know what I was trying to accomplish, and I let it, kind of run with it. So it did, and it came back with a series of questions about tone, about my, what the product was, the name of it, what kind of, like, did I want to be like more newsy because this is a local newsletter? Do I want to be like a news source or more like a warm neighbor? Like what style of writing? I even gave it a copywriter that I really like, Eddie Schlaner, and it was like, great, understood. He writes short, punchy, like no fluff, and it understood that. It basically went through all of these questions in under 5 minutes and gave me this comprehensive brand voice document. And I was then even able to ask it to give it to me in Markdown that I could just copy and give to an LLM. And because of that, was then able to just literally take that output, create a new Claude project that I called my Havertown News Copywriter. And I just gave it the instructions that Claude had previously helped me develop. And it's a comprehensive set of instructions for that exact thing. Then, I was able to give it the same prompt. All I gave it was the context of the offer and the format that I was looking for. Instead of, I didn't give it, its role. I didn't give it any real specific voice guidelines because it's got all of that now. And it produced 3, I think, even better, more on point in terms of like the style or taste that I have, and including the fact that, look at that, there's no M dashes. It
Nice.
lists because that's absolutely in the instructions. But yeah, I just think like, again, this took me like to throw this together for the demo, and it probably took longer than it would take somebody to actually do this. I was able to create a project that like I can now go ask for any kind of marketing copy, an email, social copy, whatever, and it's going to get me a lot closer to the point that I want. The intent's not to take like me out of it, but just like to get me from like start to like 90% of the way there so much faster in my own voice. And all of this was done without like I didn't have a knowledge of like what the instruction framework needed to look like, or I didn't have any like idea of the information that it needed to have to be able to write in my voice. I didn't even have existing content that I fed it to learn from. I just let it ask me the questions and kind of, go from there.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. I would say all of those things that you mentioned at the end, if you have them,
Oh my
share
God.
them with it. Yeah, like if you've been sending, this isn't necessarily for you, but for anybody who's watching and wants to replicate this, if you have examples of previous content that you've shared, like previous newsletters that you've sent, you can just point them at the assistant at your newsletter hub in AWeber if you're a user, or your email archive. Just say like, learn from this content about my specific voice. All of that stuff is really helpful because Jesse mentioned that it's going to pull from what it knows, broadly speaking, when trying to develop tone and style guides for you. And the more specific examples and specific guidance you can give it, the better the results will likely meet your expectations. Like, this is a great place to start from. But one thing you're going to hear from us all the time is like, we're going to be mostly teaching you steps one
Yeah.
in when we're doing these demos, and then the expectation is you take the thing that you made and continue to iterate and test things and change, because the models are growing, techniques are growing, it gets better every day. You want to keep improving things as you go.
Yeah, I mean, it should always be viewed as an iterative work in progress, like never finished, right?
Yeah,
I do want to say though, and I think the intent behind this is like, if you're just starting a new project, or if you're not producing that content yet to train it, like that should not stop you. Like, you can come at it with nothing and walk away with a working, a copywriter that understands your brand voice, that then you can refine and continue to train on your content as you're producing it and editing it. But I just don't want people to look at it and think, well, I haven't been sending emails, or I don't have a repository of blog posts, so I don't have a brand
sure.
voice. It can help you develop what you want that brand voice to be. I mean, frankly, like, I have been sending the Have Returned newsletter, and it still helped me consider things in terms of like what kind of writing style I wanted that I hadn't been,
Yeah,
that I kind of maybe just been winging, you know?
yeah,
So, but yes, the more you give it, the better it gets.
yeah. That's a great point too.